All right. Last episode or last time I talked to you guys about the Marine hand-to-hand combat instructor, and I had some major wars with this guy while sparring, grappling sparring on the ground. And I realized that basically I could have been really, really hurt to the point where I would never be able to do what I loved so much ever again, which is training, and that was a darn shame. So I knew something was wrong. Well, let's fast forward into the future, and from after that city, I moved to a new city. Actually, I went to Florida, and I went to a pretty famous school over there, a prestigious school over there, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and there were some really, really good guys in there. There were actually a few pro fighters. One of them I think is pretty famous. Had an awesome knockout of a super famous MMA guy. I don't want to mention names and stuff, but anyway, so I was training at this school there, a very prestigious school. So there were some really, really good guys there, and basically I noticed the same thing that I had noticed in the previous city, which was there's basically several ways to climb the mountain, right? And basically divided into two ways. One, you reach the peak. In other words, you get to the goal, which is whatever belt or whatever skill level, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, whatever, or you could just say intermediate, advanced, whatever. Okay, so you can get to that level, right? However you want. Now you could get there by using a lot of strength, a lot of force, a lot of speed, but it's going to cost you. It will cost you. Like when you meet someone that's stronger than you are, or when you cannot, for whatever reason, apply the strength. You're not feeling as healthy, or as you get older, or sometimes you're in the zone while you're training, maybe the first 6 months or whatever, you're just in the zone. You love the training. You love this martial arts style that you're doing, so you're all about it, and you're doing great. And then you kind of burn out. And that's when you start to lose it. You try to get back in, and you just lost something. You don't know what it is. Well, it's because you relied on a lot of factors that wasn't things that you nurtured. It was just you took advantage of whatever, your momentum of just loving it, or just whatever, being excited about it, or so what I'm trying to say is, so you could do it the very, very physical way, or then you could do it the very skilled technical way. And like I said, there's a price to doing the physical way. So same thing at this school. I noticed some guys that were, blue belts, purple belts, or whatever, and there were some guys that were just using a whole lot of muscle, and they were very, very rough. Yeah, they had a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure they had technique and skill, but they could not let go of muscling. So when I saw these guys spar against other advanced guys, some of the other advanced guys would get angry at them. And when I sparred these advanced guys, they noticed that I wasn't trying to kill them, that I was there to learn. I wasn't muscling. I was really trying to learn. So what they did was, at this school there was a whole lot of really good technical guys, so I was able to do a lot of technical rolling. Really, it's basically like it's called soft work or soft rolling, where you're not using a whole lot of strength, and it's just a lot of movement and positioning, and it's real. It looks like you're just playing around, but I would say it's almost like the equivalent of sticky hands, but grappling. And this was a whole lot of fun. I hadn't really experienced this much of it at a commercial Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, so it was a great experience. I also noticed some of my peers, some of the guys that were at my level. So I was in the intermediate class, and in the intermediate class, there were other guys that were my level, except they were like ex-wrestlers and stuff. So I mean, and they were also built like, to me, built like a racehorse or something. They're not in the same league as I am. Physically, just incredibly, powerful looking, and they were, but we were the same level. Basically, my skills made up for my lack of physique or whatever. So when we would roll, it would come out pretty close. When these guys rolled against those other advanced guys, I noticed the advanced guys would just pretty much wipe the floor with these guys. But with me, I really, they didn't feel like I was threatening them or I was trying to hunt for their belt or something. So they would do the soft work with me, which I really enjoyed. And I also realized, hey, there's two types of training. Both are important. You can't just do soft work all the time. Both is very important. So I got to experience this in this city, and to realize that, hey, if you go to some schools, to have really technical skilled guys that know how to roll soft, that do have a volume control in their sparring, it's not necessarily rare. I mean, like I said, I was able to encounter that. Probably half the people in the class could do that, and then the other half were just clueless. Okay, so let's fast forward again to the future, and I moved again, yet to another city, and this was the last major Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school that I entered. This was, to me, like going to Harvard. So I went here, and I joined the beginners class, right? I started from the beginners class, and there was this guy who was in there. I mean, this guy was like, I don't know how tall he was, but he was huge. This guy was gigantic. And for me, in my mind, I was Dracula, he's Frankenstein. So this was a Dracula versus Frankenstein scenario. We rolled against each other, and man, was it hard. It reminded me of the Marine Corps guy back in that other city. And I was going, whoa, wait a minute. You're making the same mistake again. You're reverting back to what you had done before. I know this is a new school and everything, but, come on, you're smarter than that, right? So I had to wake up and go, this is wrong. So the next time I rolled with him, because actually what had happened was I ended up doing once again one of those from the guard, an upside down arm bar where, I'm about to be slammed on my head or snap his arm first. It was a speed thing. So that was my instinct, right? And I was just like, no, this is no good. You don't want 250 pounds of this guy falling on your head if you don't get that arm bar right. Or even if you do break his arm, he might still fall on your neck. So I was like, all right, I can't train like that. So I just tapped like crazy. The next time I just tap, let him submit me. It doesn't matter. And because I already proved myself to him. I already showed him that I could be tough. And I said, look, I just want to work on technique. I just want to work on certain positions, And then he was cool with it. He understood that. He was smart enough to know, hey, this isn't an ego contest. So after that, we became really good friends. We'd go eat out lunch after training and everything. And actually, we got to the point where when new guys would come in, we would look after each other's backs. We'd be like, hey, how is that new guy? Oh, watch out for his ankle locks. Or, this guy goes pretty hard, so be careful of this guy, or whatever, stuff like that. So he actually became a really, really good training partner. And that's what I noticed. Certain people can become really, really good training partners for you. Others, they just can't. And it's just part of the process of training in martial arts. Learning how to deal with different types of people that just don't get it, or people that are just on a completely different tangent and they're just doing it for all the wrong reasons or whatever. But so that's one of the things that was very important to me, was to learn how to make good training partners, learn how to make the most of it with good training partners. And when you're not with a good training partner, because you can't always expect good training partners, then you got to spar with them differently. And so I had developed that. So with people like that, I spar completely differently. Normally I would just stall, and it's a boring match, but hey, I got to protect myself.